Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fireside Casts. Yeah, we got some excited games going on. The energy here is electric. Everyone's having a good time. And we've been seeing some very, very exciting TF2. I, of course, am Wild Rumpus, and I'm joined by ecchymoses.
Hello, Fireside family. Excited to be here. We got G6 versus Witness Australia, who I think we saw earlier today on the Essentials broadcast.
Yeah,
and they took down Froyo, if I'm not mistaken. It was, what, 3-1?
It was a close game. I think it was within a round. Came to, yeah, so our group stages, of course, as we're going to be seeing here, are not in a continuous overtime. Mm-hmm. So in the interest of time, this round robin will be in doing some technical stuff. Right. Or maybe I just got trolled. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, what we're doing is, round robin here. Witness Gaming versus G6.
Yeah, this is going to be a rather strong matchup, I think.
I did get trolled.
Honestly, I don't know who's going to win because both of these teams have shown that they're, I would say, locked in, really. They know what they're here for. They know what they're fighting for. It is just the group stages right now, but that doesn't really change anything. They're still going to be fighting as if this was the grand finals. They're fighting to secure themselves a good spot in the finals. They want to make sure that they have every advantage possible.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think this is going to be some of the most bare knuckle boxing competition we have until we get to Froyo G6, which is the penultimate match that I think everybody here is waiting for.
Yeah, something that we see at many a LAN nowadays and always an exciting matchup. But, I mean, nonetheless, these group stages I find pretty interesting because, of course, these being on an old config does play a little differently and can lead to some mixed results like we're seeing, Witness upsetting Froyotech. That being said, G6 as well just had a fantastic game against Witness Gaming EU, in which they were able to take that, which going into this LAN, for anyone who is at home looking at the logs, looking at, how these teams were practicing against each other, a lot of the people were thinking Witness Gaming EU were going to be the top dogs. And yet here, on what is a European style of config, G6 still does well against them. So these are two teams that have both had really nice upsets. And we get to see them play against each other.
Yeah, and I think even though it is a very European style config, the NA aggression kind of still shines through. They don't have the banny time that they're usually used to, at least not for the group stages. They'll have that during the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to see how the shift in play style is. But for the group stages, they're not going to have that. And I think just because of how fast-paced NA is compared to European games, it definitely favors the NA teams a little bit more just because they know they're working with a hard time limit. They know that they can kind of just park the bus if they want to. I mean, pretty much everybody in the LAN has played with that config for some amount of time. Europe more than others. I do think we're going live.
Yes.
So let's get this on the road.
Right, on Sunshine as well.
On Sunshine here, going into this first mid, does it look like the Australians are going to be a little bit faster than G6 here? Not a lot of damage coming out, at least the demo is very, very low towards their shack. It does look like G6 getting ready to get some aggression in. Cafe getting fought. Chris going to be able to take down Loud going down to Soapy as well. This is a pretty G6-sided mid right now. Chris will go down to Cookie. Enrith going to get traded by Kobe, though. Kobe also going to find Silvo. Connor takes himself down, and that is not even pretty much. That is just a full team wipe for Witness Australia as Leica G6 move on to the second point, looking to make this a quick conversion as they kept Lol Guy alive in that mid fight.
Yeah, that mid was honestly pretty straightforward. I mean, G6 just picked a side, and AU kind of getting a little too cute, sort of playing central, reactive, and ended up having their flank just get ran at by way too many players, early kills, and then the post fight just going well.
Yeah. I mean, G6, I think, is going to be very, very strong in these post fights, but Uber's getting ripped. Gun's going to go down very early. Logan going to be able to take it down. A little bit of cap time coming out. Some players moving towards the point. Downseek does go down, tries to bomb over the bridge, but isn't quite successful. G6 could lose 2 here. Bomo and Chris both go down. Now Kobe, only Connor and Downseek, but it doesn't matter. Like a G6, going to be able to make the most with what they have. Going to be able to convert that first round. Just a good initial Uber. Losing their scouts there is kind of unfortunate, but they were able to turn it around and they were able to convert that round into a win. And it hasn't been that long since the game has started.
Yeah, mid to last. And that looked kind of scary because, of course, scouts are like the capping class. That's who you want capping. But there was still enough advantages in that mid from the early kill and just the cap time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that mid kind of shaped the entirety of that game, but let's not focus on that. Let's focus on this mid here. A lot of fighting going on in the Blue Valley. It's going to be Downseek now. Connor going down to the hands of Kobe. Looks like Australia going to have to back out through their cafe with Lau extremely low. Could get chased down by at any moment here, but looks like G6 gonna pump the brakes just slightly. Going to be some kind of salvage play coming in from Australia, but they're not going to be able to get anything out of it. But they managed to keep Lau alive, which is going to at least give them some kind of defense against G6 as they look to either sack or maybe take the exchange into this last.
Yeah.
I think that NA aggression will prevail through, and we'll see a
yeah, I think the Aussies kind of recognized that Lau was getting out there and decided, hey, I mean, it's going to be evens on last anyway. Let's just send our 2 scouts and hopefully we can get something done.
Yeah.
It is interesting they had both scouts die in that medically with the demo because you don't have that scout speed, and a demo is definitely less effective at protecting a medic than a scout would be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, still can. Don't get me wrong. He still can.
Especially if you're Enrith.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Definitely, if you're Enrith, you can absolutely protect, but it's just so much easier to have one of your scouts doing it. Soldier going to be bombing through. That's going to be Soapy. Gets taken down by the sentry. That is the sack attempt from like a G6. They're going to have to pull back now and wait, maybe see if AU can send their own sack. The Australians looking to equalize the pressure here, you know, get some of that, you know, NA pressure off of their back, because G6 have kind of been breathing it down their neck this map so far. They haven't really let up on the pressure.
Yeah. So on this config as well, this sort of stalemate is slowly favoring G6. I mean, they don't want to reset to a mid, so of course they're going to want to make things happen, but you can really just cook here. We do see on last a pretty standard hold. Gun just going to be on the middle of point. Ooh, and actually, interestingly enough, the Met is not being watched by the Gun. Soapy getting probably a better rocket off there than he should have. Gun does die as well. Only 1 kill. G6 could still pressure if they wanted to, but I would not fault them at all for just relaxing. Nope, Kobe is going in.
Oh, that's 2 rockets. The force comes out like a G6. Kobe going in with the miraculous play there. Honestly, I thought they took so long. I thought they were just going to play back, but Kobe sent it. Full send, no fear, jumps up. You know, dispenser armor means nothing to this man.
Yeah.
He gets the force out from Lau. So now Witness Gaming Australia in a, you know, stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think G6 is trying to get themselves set up for some kind of push. They're waiting for, I believe, oh no, Kobe's here. So they're really only waiting for all their players to get into position. It looks like they're going to be ripping it through dungeon here. Scout demo, they're going to be waddling forward. Gun hasn't been taken down just yet. It's still not down. Gun finally destroyed. No picks for G6. As I say, that Downseek gonna die here as well. Big bomb coming in from Sophie. A lot of damage in the left spawn. Pipe on the scout here, but I don't really think it matters. Wait a minute!
Wow. Logan is the last one alive. That's incredible.
Logan just farming his logs here, I guess, with the miraculous 1v1000 win on that last, managing to secure like a G6 their second round of the game. And I mean, just just beautiful performance by Logan there. Fast bomb coming in from one of the soldiers of G6. Looks like they're trying to just pressure over the point very early here. Looks like it's going to be one of these rotational mids. There is a soldier in Australia's cafe, Downseek, looking to push out. Soapy Mice are going to go down to the hands of Cookie, but it's a trade. Kobe finds Enrith. does lose Logan on G6. They have 3 players alive. It is 2 scouts with a beam. This is an even matchup. It's a mirror, and they're just trying to fight over the point here. The med for Australia Lao is extremely low, though, and they keep getting peppered so much that their regen just isn't really doing anything. And now it's going to be Silvo going down. Chris going to be able to land the shots, and now
they might. Oh, there isn't much of a chase here, but yeah, I mean, that was just well played from G6, because that fight 100% comes down to focus fire. Focusing Lao early on, forcing the medic to back up, and then they found Silvo getting a little too aggressive, and Silvo just died instantly to fantastic focus fire there.
Yeah. I mean, G6 just played that mid very well, lost a lot of players, but they played around their scouts when they needed to, and it just worked out for him. Does look like, for the time being, it is going to just stalemate here. Both medics have Uber, so there's no real reason to just, you know, throw yourselves in unless you're Soapy Meister, who goes in for the sack, isn't going to be able to get any damage onto Lao, and that will force G6 to play a little bit further back, but I think the Australians are taking a little while to send their counter, if they're even going to send one.
They take the fight through Cafe here. Connor winning the 1v1 and healthy enough to bomb from Cafe if he so chose. But the door's being looked at, doesn't go for it, goes now, but a scout on height. Actually not as hard of a deny as it maybe could have been. And as I say that as well, Down gets in through the other door. This is a full-blown dry fight off of just one pick from Witness Gaming AU. Connor does go down. That might be, that will call the end of it. Soapy gonna bomb the door as they're retreating, and the slow but very aggressive counter sack there from Witness Gaming AU.
Yeah. Extremely aggressive. Kobe going to be able to land a nice rocket under down seek. Now onto Silvo. That's 2 picks for like a G6. They've evened out the player count. I'm pretty sure all of these players pretty much died at the exact same time, so kind of just trade for trade. But I mean, we're just going to be sitting here for a little bit. We're waiting on one of these teams to be able to get a successful sack in. Like you said, it was a very aggressive, almost dry fight from the Aussies here as they tried to get their way into mid and try and make Lol Guy use, but just wasn't successful. I think if their soldiers were a little bit quicker there, things could have turned out differently, but they just didn't have a lot of open window to bomb through. And
keep in mind that while, yes, it doesn't seem like much is happening in a literal sense, as we do just see sack in here actually going behind from Soapy, but gets cleaned up, so that will not materialize. But while not much is happening, it's just sack, counter sack, long term, G6 is still making progress here. Now in the short term, being down 2, they might be giving up mid. We're going to have to see how this fight goes.
There is a soldier coming in through Valley with Kobe now dying, taking himself out. Chris is going to be able to find Silvo, but gets traded out by Downseek. The demo is chasing no longer, actually. Enrith deciding to back out and play towards the point, just get things set up, make sure his team can have control over mid. Yeah, and denying those players is just so important. Big bomb coming in from the soldiers of the Aussie team. Gets launched up into the air. One rocket isn't able to find the other, though, in time. Bomo going to be able to find the pick onto Connor. And that'll open the window for G6 to try and push from 2 onto mid.
It really is just up to a sack or Enrith getting a trap kill here for any type of thing to happen favorably. Exchange comes out, actually. Oh my god, Lokai drops!
Oh no.
It was to Stickies. I think it was a trap next to the shed. Oh wow. I mean, that's exactly what Witness Gaming AU needed here, because again, they were down a round, and while they're not in danger yet, it's still uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable letting G6 play at their own pace. It's uncomfortable knowing if the timer hits 0, you lose. And now they're in a fantastic position to equalize the game.
Oh! Connor with a nasty air shot onto Lol Guy, launching him up. Soapy is able to trade them out, but I don't really think it matters. Lao actually dies to Soapy Meister, getting the spoon kill. So, you know, med for med. This couldn't go really any better for G6. They have picks, they have player advantage. Both meds died, so they don't have to worry about pushing into heals or anything. They can just relax for a moment, push out onto 2. They can push slowly, although they might have to concede to. They might not be able to hold. Soapy was still dead, and they had to wait for him to spawn.
Last here.
Yeah. So they're just going to be building here, trying to get these Ubers as even as possible. Silvo goes down. Chris is going to be able to
honestly looks like an off-class sack for me.
Yeah.
We might see Silvo spawn up on a sniper here or something. But 2 kills, I mean, G6, yeah, as I say that, Bomo going to switch off of Engineer. Oh, never mind, going right back. You can usually tell whether a team's trying to push out or not based on that engineer slot. If the engie switches off, it usually means, yeah, we're trying to go. If you switch right back to it, okay, we're going to chill on last. But we'll have to see what their hold looks like, because Witness Gaming AU's was quite weak, actually, in the sense that they had the sentry gun, but it wasn't in a position to actually protect the medic from any bombs. So not only did Soapy get a reasonably decent sack off, but then Kobe was able to just follow up, not get shot at all, and get a free force to score their round.
We do have the sniper, Silvo, coming up from the from Witness Gaming here, trying to find some pick, isn't able to, does get spotted and spammed out from the left side of lobby. Is peeking out top right though, looking for anything. It's pretty open, could swing wide if they wanted to. And it looks like that's what they're going to be doing, is getting fought by Chris up here.
Just peeking it.
Yeah, spots that gun very early on. Going to be very helpful for his soldiers, figuring out where that is, see if they can spam it. Is peeking left yet again. And right now, the Australian strategy is really to just revolve around their sniper, who is about to get spammed down.
So weak. Connor actually
dies.
It looks like it may have been. Okay. That engineer kill is interesting. The gun is at least very spammable now. That is probably what Witness is trying to do. But the sniper gets caught, actually. Silva was taking sort of a passive peek, not trying to get overly aggressive while that Engie's dead. And yeah, now things definitely worse off for Witness, as on the counter sack, in fact, looks like we have a soldier behind. Oh, finally gets cleaned up now.
Yeah, Lau was very weak on that second. If G6 was able to push out, they probably could have got the force onto Lau, or at least got something. It was really just one rocket that they needed to get the force or the kill there. But looks like Cookie and Connor both going to be going down to Logan and Momo here. Could see Downseek die, but does get out in time. Kobe going towards lower, trying to get some kind of space for his team, and the Australians are just fully out. They are gone all the way to mid.
That was basically like a scuffed 4-man. There was like less than a minute left in the round, so you kind of need to make something happen, otherwise you reset to mid. So the fact that Lau lived is really the only thing that matters there. G6 didn't deny any spawners, so things will even out here on second. And Witness, while they're not happy that they got nothing on last, they're at least content with the fact that they still have mid here. They still have the chance to get this force on second.
Yeah, they're sitting pretty. It might not look like it right now, but they are in a very comfy position to make things happen. They are on the aggressive, and as I say that, they send in Downseek and Connor. They're not going to be able to get anything. That is a 2-man. That's a double that they're going to run, and that's going to give G6 mid unless Australia decides to rip the exchange. They're going to lose Silvo as well. 3 players down. It looks like they are going to use. They're going to have to try and escape with it. Where is
it was an exchange being taken, but the counter Uber didn't get popped. Yeah, this is now very bad for Witness Australia. They have 2 soldier kills, so honestly, if they wanted to take a crazy fight, they can. There's far less spam for G6 than they would normally have. The only thing that Australia has to look out for is an Uber. And as I say that, Uber does get popped, but Logan gets juggled, does not have a good bomb. Unable to catch Lau in the doorway. The Uber gets popped for almost nothing here. Silvo, the only one to die. And even then, Silvo traded out with Bomo. And now we have a full refight from Witness Gaming Australia. Now the Ubers are suddenly in their favor.
Yeah, Australia with a very good pinch from their soldier. Nice air pipe from Logan, destroying Connor there, protecting his med just a little while longer as they look to continue fighting over mid and force the Australians back into their own choke, force them somewhere where they can easily spam them and just whittle down their health as best as possible. We have about 14-ish minutes left, so there's still a lot of time on the table for these teams to make something happen. The Australians, I think, looking to refight mid here as they come in. They're going to be able to find Sobimeister Downseek with the rocket to finish him off. Law guy's caught all on his lonesome, gets taken down by Enrith, and that is, I think, going to start the dominoes falling for G6. They're probably going to lose a couple more. Wait a minute, big fight from Chris.
Lau dying there is rough because, and it actually looks like it will be G6 winning the fight long term, which is crazy there. Yeah, that's just a matter of DM hitting those shots. The fact that Lau died there means, of course, it's going to be even Ubers. Lolgai actually spawned first, so slight ad if G6 wants to play that. They have a kill into second, so it looks like they're getting buffed by choke. They do want to take some space here. They're actually sending both a soldier and a demo bomb in. Logan dying though, Soapy dying. Down goes Chris. All they get for it is a kill onto Connor. And now G6, oh, but Lau dies. Kobe finds that pick. That is the most important kill Kobe could have found there.
Yeah, and G6 is trying very, very hard to keep Lolgai alive. It's just a scout chasing now. Bomo going to be able to pistol him down with the winger in Blue Valley. They're going to be able to reaggress from mid now with this. I believe Bomo misses the ball, but that does pressure some of the players back. Bomo himself is getting pressured back a good bit, though, but I don't think it matters. G6 is able to find their way into mid, and they're going to be able to find downseek as well. Soapy actually trading out for that. That is a nice pick to have. That does remove one of the soldiers from the equation, but it is going to be a little bit harder for G6 to make things happen.
Well, the big thing here, for those of you who are trying to learn how to track Ubers, Lau died, Lolgai didn't. A plus B, G6 have ad, they take it through left, pop through the door, gun is low, gun goes down. Uber gonna be ending on the left side. They found a pick on down, but the Uber doesn't have a great spot to end. Everyone's split up on G6. Picks are going both ways, Lau dies. Everyone is so weak on Australia, but they have resupplies. G6 are gonna relax, they're gonna re-heal, and I'd be shocked if they didn't refight this. It's just a matter of how this fight goes. Kobe dying is definitely not what they wanted to see. And in fact, they're out of lobby. They've given up.
Yeah, they were getting bullied by Cookie in the backline for a little while. And I think with Kobe dying there, that was really what signaled that they couldn't go in anymore.
Yeah.
They just couldn't go for the refight. It's such a late death that they have to take all of the time in the world now.
Well, notably as well, the fact that Lau died, so Lolgai still has ad here. So the fact they have this backup re-push with Uber makes the backup re-push dry fight, you know, not something you have to do so much.
Yeah, and G6 is going to be ripping this through. Gun goes down very early. They are getting some good damage onto downseek here. It's going to be Cookie now. Connor down, downseek going down 3 in rapid succession. Enrith with 30 health going to go down as well.
Yeah.
Soapy Meister with the pick. Now the Uber pop from Witness Gaming. Australia on the point. They're looking to kill whoever they can. Logan playing ring around the Rosie with Silvo. Does get taken down. Pistol.
Silvo's confident chasing this as well.
This is a crazy chase to take, even if your beam is trailing behind you. As you know, if G6 had any of their spawners coming in, you would have been dead to rights right there.
Yeah, thin margins there on that push for sure. I mean, the cap time was so close. And Lau, I'm sure, was holding right click and just barely got Uber in time. But yet again, Lolgai used Uber first and lived. So now we're in another position where G6 can take an ad push into last. And it's actually decent. It's 30 out as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a rather heavy
but the cap
push.
time.
They had so much cap time.
They had cap time going into the push, so they just capped immediately.
Yeah. I don't even know if the Uber was necessary there.
I
That's
mean,
just style points.
It got them through the door.
That's true. They probably did need to use it to get through the door, although maybe they could have done some crazy split tech, send some people through right and left, and probably could have won. They just had so much cap time on that point that really any aggression would have net them a win.
Ooh,
but
roll out to choke.
Oh my
God.
goodness. Soapy on Enrith insta.
Oh, but the Aussies are still playing. Okay. A lot of teams would leave when their demo gets traded out. They're double bombing.
This is a crazy double bomb. They separate Lolgai from the rest of G6, but it doesn't matter. Chris, Lolgai, and Bomo go crazy. Scout chasing Silvo on Lolgai is going to be able to get the med pick, and that's going to be a very crucial pick for them to have.
That's a Kobe rocket.
Yeah, Kobe's just decimating right there. That's just disrespectful.
Honestly, getting Lolgai there is decent for the Aussies. I mean, losing your demo for a soldier, you're expecting to lose the mid. Lau dying early-ish into the mid means you're expecting to lose the mid bad. So being able to at least make it even Ubers. In fact, slight ad for Lau. We'll see if they actually play it or not. But yeah, neutralizing the state of Ubers, making it so that you're not pushed back to last. Definitely a silver lining, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is really the best outcome I think the Australians could have asked for in that situation. I don't think there's a lot more they could have got given their circumstances. just having the pick on a Law guy, making the Ubers pretty much even, giving them the opportunity to hold onto, and it actually looks like they want to refight or at least get people buffed and rip one through Valley. They're actually going to use through Valley. Australia pushing forward into G6 choke. Connor going to go down, but Enrith trades that out by finding Chris. G6 is still out though, and now Law guy has a little bit of a nothing burger Uber.
Yeah, the trouble with taking thin margins like that is the other team gets Uber much faster and could refight much faster. Kobe actually got caught there in the flank, and G6 have slowed down a little bit because of that. Bomo now dying. Point does finally get capped. Obviously, the Aussies were playing very passively, very scared about G6 just popping in, leaving only a scout to cap. They do finally get it though, but at this point, Lau has built a good chunk of this Uber. Still disad, but with these continual picks coming in their favor, they feel pretty comfortable to just build this out and turn what was 90 disad into even Ubers.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy that they were able to turn this into evens. I'm honestly a little shocked that they're able to do that, but if whatever you're doing works, it works. And I guess the Australians are going to be able to even out this Uber. I mean, a 34-second Uber advantage from G6 squandered just like that. Kobe will find Silvo, though, so it may not be as big of an advantage now as it was a couple seconds ago. Losing a scout there is pretty damning. Now Downsea going to go down as well. Sophie Meister finding the pick. That's pretty big. This opens up a big window. Gives a lot of opportunity to G6. Sophie actually finds Connor as well.
Okay,
this man
are
is
they
a
going to
machine.
exchange or not? Ooh, man, they're barely able to get out. I think just like a half a second there later, and they're forced to use, and Logai doesn't even have to.
Yeah.
Oh, but look at this. The reshove Valley. They want to take this exchange. They find a kill on Logan before Ubers even get popped. Better milk from Logai, so G6's Uber will last longer. But look at this. Silvo is bringing them on a wild goose chase behind. Yeah, now G6 are just out of the point. Ubers are now off the table, no Ubers at all. And G6 are just down a demo, so it's going to be a point for Witness Gaming Australia. They just ran through Valley and got a kill.
Yeah, that was an excellent play from that scout, very heads up, to drag the scouts from G6 through Cafe, make them chase, bait them into following you, and prevent them from getting it on mid. Secured his team the cap there, but Connor and Downsea going to die in the choke. It's only Kobe getting traded out for it, and looks like G6 wanting to potentially fight this through Valley. A lot of damage coming in onto Enrith. Good die. Is going to get pistoled down by Bomo, and the Australians are forced to leave, but it's a pinch from Soapy, but Cookie finds him, and now they have a soldier with him. Downseek looks like they might be posturing themselves choked just to maybe get some pressure. Two Stickies dead onto Lau. A lot of damage coming through. Logan getting some good damage. It looks like these Ubers have popped at about the same time.
This exchange is going to buy time for spawners, and it's looking like it'll be a favorable post, in fact, for Witness Gaming Australia because of that kill they got on Bomo. So we will see that. And as well, for that retreat earlier when it was just Silvo and Lau, I've seen a lot of people gassing up Silvo, and I think I'm ready to agree because you really... Your medic dies there basically every single time unless you can two-shot that soldier.
Yeah, there's no world where your medic doesn't die there. A beautiful pipe from Logan across the fields, across the plains, will find Lau, so that at least gives G6 the opportunity to even out their Ubers, and it gives them an opportunity to establish themselves on second if they can keep their players alive. It's going to be Bomo finding Cookie and Connor. Chris going to be able to find Enrith here. 3 players dying for the side of Witness Gaming Australia. That's just not something you want to happen, especially when you're set up in such a way that gives you a lot of advantage.
Is on the case.
Sophie is on it. He found this guy, and he's just going to take down Downseek. There's no hesitation there, just insta-pinching him.
And down spawn is guaranteed to get denied here. I'm surprised that G6 are even stacking with how recent that kill was.
Yeah.
I suppose it doesn't matter that much, but they are just full sending it through choke. Both soldiers bombing in. Just trying to make space here. Kobe, however, stays. Both soldiers, actually, who were trying to live, both end up dying. Enrith does die as a result, but that's still... Ooh, but now it kind of favors G6 with that kill onto Connor. It was a little shaky before that. They have plenty of space as well. We're going to see them want to walk up towards Platt. Just take that good positioning, and we're actually seeing a fight for this positioning. Exchange gets popped. So we just have to wait out this Uber, see if any kills
It's so
come
much
in.
better for G6. Actually, they're going to end it about the same time. G6, or Law Guy ended up flashing so many of his players that it doesn't really matter that they're
kill now
a bit better. Downsy goes down, Cookie goes down, Enrith's going to be able to find Chris as one play. Oh my goodness, it's Nuclear. Soapy Meister comes in, gets 2 with the help of Logan. They find Lau. Like a G6, I think, has just secured themselves too. They find Silvo here. Bomo going to be able to find that pick. 5 kill streak for Bomo as G6 looks to push into last. 3, almost 4 minutes remaining for the team of like a G6 as they hope to turn this into a round 1.
Yeah, I mean, that post-Uber fight, G6 were always going to look to be refighting because you don't want the other team to just pop their Uber and suddenly you have to give up the point that you were so deep into. But they were kind of forced out of the door. But they found a couple picks. Suddenly players watching the flank had to turn around and focus on the doors, and that just opened the door wide open for Soapy. Yeah. Meanwhile, however, this is a Uber advantage that somehow finds the medic and the demo, but also finds a wipe for the team using.
Oh, Lol Guy!
Wow.
Lol Guy able to get his 1 while G6 squanders their push, not able to get in to the Aussie last. And that will be maybe not the final push. We still have about 3 minutes in the match. So G6 very easily could turn this into a round win, make the score 4-0 as opposed to 5-0. And just as a reminder, there is a hard limit in this. This isn't banny time because this is only the group stage. Soapy Meister going to get Silvo here. Big bomb coming in from, I believe this is Connor, getting onto Lol Guy, getting a lot of damage, just isn't able to catch up. Good surf from Lol Guy, good movement in general. Chris going to be able to find downseek. Logan dies. Kobe trades it out by finding Enrith. Now Kobe finds Cookie, avenging Logan. 4 players down for the side of Australia. Both soldiers bombing in onto Lau. Chris comes in. Chris finds 2 by finding Lau and Silvo. G6 stacking the last point before it's even open. It's 1 soldier to rule them all. Connor tries to save the day, just isn't able to though. There's only so much you can do in that 1v5 situation.
Yeah, and now I understand this is first to 5 and it's only 4, but given the fact that we've seen so much back and forth gameplay without a round being scored and there is a time limit, then yeah, I mean, G6 are just in such a commanding position because Witness needs to take so many risks. They need to do so many things that might just be stupid because if they don't score enough rounds to tie it up by the time the timer hits 0, they just lose.
Yeah, there's no reality, I think, where G6 or Witness can get the amount of rounds they need to tie it. Logan going to be nuking this mid by finding 3. I mean, this is just brutal from G6 here. So many people died at once. It's actually like impossible to commentate it. Just Logan goes absolutely nuclear on the mid, secures his team the fattest dub I have ever seen in a mid-fight ever. And the sniper comes out, Cookie tries to peek, is able to get launched into the spawn, will come up on a...
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
still need the cap too. This needs to be a long spawn camp actually. So honestly, the fact that I don't like that anyone on Witness Gaming died here because they don't need to fight the last point at all. They just needed to hide and spawn. If none of those players had died trying to fight while second wasn't capped, then they have a chance to get out of spawn. Because again, G6 needed a really long spawn camp there, but the fact that they were given kills pretty periodically, it did actually materialize in that last round. And man, I mean, G6, so we saw Witness Gaming Australia beat Froyotech. We saw G6 beat Witness Gaming EU. That's kind of the 4 top dogs dealt with.
Yeah.
And when all is said and done, G6 has beaten either the team or the team that's beaten the team, right?
Yeah. I mean, just looking at this game alone, this is just a stellar performance from G6. I honestly thought they weren't going to be able to get that 5th round just because of the time constraint. But with the phenomenal mid that they had, where they were just able to wipe Australia off the map, quite literally, they were just kind of able to run their way into last fully. And like you said, I didn't really like how people were dying in that spawn camp either. because it was so long, they could have waited just a couple seconds longer
Yeah.
and bust out through one of the doorways, one of the weaker doorways, or at least tried to, and made something happen. I'm sure there was a way they could have held, but you know, maybe it's that 4-0 garbage time mindset where it's like, yeah, who cares?
I mean,
you know?
and also in the moment, it's easy to think the momentum was so fast for G6 that it almost feels like they had already capped second, even though they hadn't, because both scouts were in last, so they could have been capping. But yeah, there's plenty of opportunities if they slow down to maybe break out. Because, of course, like Pyro has unlocks that can clear stickies, identify where the traps are, clear those, get out.
Yeah.
There's a chance. But, yeah, that was definitely an explosive mid. And also, as far as this config is concerned with the hard limit, a lot of the time you do see when the losing team or the team down rounds, their back's against the wall and the timer's ticking down, they have to get sloppy. It's mandatory if you even want a chance. And that can get punished very easily. But here, it didn't seem like the Aussies took a sloppy mid-fight. It didn't seem like they were trying to just make something happen right then and there. It seemed like G6 just showed up and completely destroyed them on mid.
Yeah, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you saying, you know, teams are going to have to get sloppy, especially in a situation where you're down 4 rounds. You just, in that moment, no matter what the time is, when it's, you know, match point, you have to start taking risks. You have to start doing things you wouldn't normally do, trying to do things you're maybe not as comfortable with, or come up with new strategies or new tech that you haven't used yet or maybe aren't comfortable with. It's just, it's a very hard situation. You're caught between a rock and a hard place. It's just, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate circumstance to be in, and I think given that, the Australians played very well. There were times I thought they were going to be able to convert a round or two, but unfortunately, they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think we do have some logs we can take a look at. One thing that I was very impressed with from Witness Gaming Australia was the actual fights themselves from the players themselves. So during like scrappy post-Uber fights or like multiple players down for each team, neither team has a med. In those types of situations, G6, they were just hitting their shots and winning a lot of those. But when it came to maneuvering, we saw Witness Gaming Australia turn 90 disad into even Ubers because they were flank shoving and because they were able to find these aggressive opportunities that, yeah, the opposition was just not expecting. Textbook example as well of that double scout just blowing through Valley. If it's trapped, we'll wipe. But oh, look, Logan's not watching, and Logan's dead now. We have a wonderful exchange, and in the post, we just win the point. So a lot of that maneuvering and just finding the perfect point of the map to just pressure in an instant, I did like. Despite it being a 5-0, I think Witness were doing quite well on that.
Yeah, I think, you know, the score only tells a part of the story. It can be a 5-0, but still be a very close fight. And I mean, if we pull up the logs here, the highest damage in the server is Kobe at 339 DPM, followed up by Silvo at 314. These players aren't outmatched in any capacity. I think they just made a few too many mistakes, a few little mistakes, and they just added up, and it cascaded into them not being able to convert rounds. They oftentimes had players dying in really inconvenient positions, and it's unfortunate. I mean, the scouts for like a G6 were just kind of clearing house. They were playing cleanup crew. They were playing the aggressor. They were playing everything they needed to play when it needed to be played. And honestly, I mean, it's just they I don't want to say they put on a clinic because it was a very close match, but they put on a show, to say the absolute least. They were, you know, leading the charge. They were getting in, and I mean, filtering by the scouts. One of them on G6 has 30 kills and only 12 deaths.
Yeah, I think in general, G6 are doing a particularly good job at killing Witness's soldiers because Witness's soldiers are extremely talented and they do a lot for the team. And we're seeing in those moments where, yes, maybe Silvo or Cookie are able to find an opportunity to get crazy and find a kill that's really important. Maybe even a kill on Lol Guy. In those cases, the fact that the soldiers are being held down and it's suddenly the scouts that need to be the ones aggressing, suddenly now you're in a position where, yes, maybe we're going to take on some losses because of their aggression. But it's because their scouts are leaving their med. Suddenly, there's a new opportunity to strike. And G6 in general are very good about that. They're good about convincing the other team that, oh, you have an advantage, try and chase us. To goad out over-aggression, because a lot of the time that over-aggression just invites a new target for them to shoot at.
Yeah. G6, I think, generally was very good at balancing their aggression, but like we saw in the case of, I believe it was Silvo who led the scouts on a wild goose chase through the cafe, sometimes they just get a little too greedy, and while it didn't end up with them losing the round or dropping Lol Guy or something, they could have got more with that Uber that they did end up using, and instead they got pretty much nothing for it. Like I said, a little bit of a nothing burger with some nothing fries and a nothing drink, nothing combo meal, if you will, and it was just unfortunate, to say the least. I mean, it was a magnificent play from the Australians, but...
Yeah. Well, overall, exciting match. Was a 5-0, but, I mean, it goes to show G6 are absolutely here to play. Whatever logs you may have been looking at from scrims prior, yeah, this is the real deal. And, yeah, excited to see more from both of these teams.
Yeah, I absolutely am. I think we're going to throw it to a quick break while we get our next match situated. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.